Imagine living until the year 3T6. Yeah, just think about it. While everyone you know is long gone, you're still here, looking like you're in your 30s, watching empires fall and new planets being colonized. But is this actually possible, or is it just some sci fi fever dream? Right now, the human expiry date seems hard coded at around 120 years. No matter how much kale you eat or how many marathons you run, your biological clock is ticking toward a mandatory shutdown. But scientists are starting to look at aging not as an inevitability, but as a biological glitch that can be patched. That our cells are basically programmed to fall apart. Every time your cells divide, the little caps at the end of your DNA, called telomeres, get shorter. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces. Once they wear out, the lace starts to fray and your DNA starts to corrupt. This leads to zombie cells or senescent cells that refuse to die, floating around your body and causing inflammation like a bad neighbor who won't leave the party. To live 1000 years, we don't just need better medicine, we need a complete fundamental rewrite of our operating system. We are talking about Senolytics, which are drugs designed to hunt down these zombie cells and delete them. Like in Bart Surf, we also have to deal with mitochondrial decay, the power plants of your cells simply running out of juice. Researchers are experimenting with NAD plus boosters and even gene editing tools like CRISPR to literally go into your code and control plus Z the aging process. If we can stop the decay at a cellular level, the 120-year ceiling starts to look like a suggestion rather than a rule. We are entering an era where biological age and chronological age are two completely different things. You could be 150 years old on paper but have the lungs and skin of a 25-year-old. This isn't just about living longer, it's about longevity escape velocity. This is the point where science advances so fast that for every year you live, researchers find a way to extend your life by more than a year. If you can stay alive long enough to reach that tipping point, you might just slide into that 1000-year bracket. But wait, if your body stays young, what happens to your brain? Can a human mind actually store 10 centuries of memories, or would you eventually just run out of disk space and start deleting your first 100 years to make room for the new ones? And we haven't even touched the most controversial part yet. If we stop aging, does the world just become overpopulated, or do we stop having kids altogether to keep the balance? The roadmap to a millennium of life is messy, expensive, and full of ethical landmines that could change what it even means to be human. If we actually crack the code of biological aging, we hit a massive wall. The hardware, that even if your heart is pumping like a teenager's, your brain is still sitting in a dark skull, accumulating microscopic damage for 1,000 years. Think of your brain like a hard drive. Eventually, you run out of storage or the sectors just start to fail. To fix this, scientists are looking at neural nanobots that could physically go in and repair your neurons while you sleep, effectively defragmenting your brain like an old PC. But then comes the real kicker. What if the body is just too fragile? If you want to see the year 3000s, you might have to ditch the meat suit entirely. We are talking about whole brain emulation or mind uploading. Imagine scanning every single one of your 86 billion neurons and turning them into a digital file. You could live on a server in a cold basement experiencing a perfect VR simulation for centuries without ever needing a glass of water. But then, is that still you? Or just a very convincing copy of you while the real you is buried in a graveyard? Even if we stay in our bodies, the social chaos would be insane. If nobody dies, the job market becomes a nightmare. Imagine your boss has been in the same position for 400 years and has no plans to retire. Inheritance disappears because your parents are still alive and healthy at 200. The gap between the biological elite who can afford the 1000-year subscription and the regular people would create a literal two-tier human species. We also have to talk about information overload. Could a human soul, if you believe in that, actually handle 1000 years of heartbreak, boredom, and changing fashion trends? you'd see every friend you make who didn't take the life extension treatment wither away. Eventually, you might become a time tourist, someone who has lived so long they no longer relate to the short lived humans around them. But researchers like Aubrey de Grey argue that we have a moral obligation to cure aging because it's the world's leading cause of suffering. If we could stop the slow decay of the human spirit, we could become a multi-planetary species traveling to distant stars that take centuries to reach. The 1000-year life isn't just about not dying, it's about having the time to actually understand the universe. Right now, we are just mayflies in the cosmic scale, living for a blink and then vanishing. But with CRISPR, nanotech, and AI driven drug discovery, we are currently the first generation in history that might actually be the last to die, or at the very least, the first to choose how long we stay at the party. If you could sign up today for a millennium of life, knowing the world would change beyond recognition, would you click accept, or is a short, meaningful life better than 1,000 years of digital existence? The clock is ticking, but for the first time, we might have the screwdriver to open it up and move the hands back.